A commenter asked the question, what is the difference between natural meditation and inquiry? This is a really good question. So in this video, we're going to explore each one individually. We're going to touch into the process of each, what its purpose is, what its focus is, and where, if anywhere, they overlap. So natural meditation is a description of something that is not inherently a technique. What I mean by that is natural meditation is a description of what happens when you stop. When you sit and close your eyes, or keep your eyes open, and stop distracting yourself. Stop trying to make anything happen. Stop trying to achieve a state. Stop looking for a solution. Stop trying to surrender. Stop trying to push through. So natural meditation is defined by what it is not. It's not the usual. It's not the constant seeking and agenda making that we engage in all day long. So there's no goal. There's no prescribed technique. There's no right or wrong technique. You can't do it wrong. Whatever arises, whatever is experienced, is exactly right. We don't need to judge. We don't need to push certain experiences away and pull other experiences closer. We don't need to monitor anything. We don't need to gauge anything against a previous experience of meditation or an idealized description of meditation we heard from somebody, no matter how enlightened we think they are. So natural meditation is just this, without adding, without subtracting. For a lot of people, this is surprisingly elusive because when we sit and close our eyes, the mind is so active that it can't help but try to figure out what to do next. And we're not completely aware of the gap between thoughts or the aware space or conscious space in which those thoughts arise and fall. So it feels like we're not naturally meditating. We're stuck in the doing mode. We're stuck in the seeking mode. We're stuck in the trying mode. But even all of that really is not apart from natural meditation, because that is all just a series of thoughts, one after the other after the other. First thought is, what's wrong? What needs to be fixed? What needs to be changed? What should I be doing? And the next thought is something about how to do it, where to go, what the technique is. And then other thoughts arise. They can be doubts, they can be mind-wandering daydreams. But truly, those are just what's happening. So those thoughts are perfectly fine. They're perfectly allowed. They don't preclude you from participating in natural meditation because the entrance fee is 0. You can't do it wrong. So often early on, it's not clear what natural meditation is, but it doesn't mean that it's not happening. Now, as things clarify, especially after an awakening and a deepening of realization beyond awakening, then it starts to become quite obvious what natural meditation actually is, what presence actually is, what unfiltered, unconditioned experience actually is. So, natural meditation is so easy that it's hard. It's so simple that we can't help but complicate it at first. But over time, we tune into that frequency of not doing, not trying to acquire, not trying to control or manage. And then natural meditation becomes a very, very simple act of surrender, a sort of alert surrender. Now, inquiry is the act of asking a question. It's a very specific type of asking, and it's a very specific type of question. In my book chapter on inquiry, I go into great detail on how to formulate the question, how to orient yourself before inquiry, how to ask the question, and then what to do after the question is asked. And all 4 of those areas are areas where If you're asking a question in the usual way, in a conceptual way, there are significant pitfalls when it comes to inquiry. Like natural meditation, inquiry is so simple that we can't help but complicate it for a time. Inquiry is something that we take up as an investigation into what's happening right now. So you could say that natural meditation is simply what is happening right now, and inquiry is a clarifying of what it is that's actually happening in comparison to the thoughts about what seems to be happening, or the thoughts about what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. So inquiry is a way of clarifying what's happening, or you could say it's a way of clarifying natural meditation or the natural state. So briefly, inquiry is fueled by the drive to know, but not to know concepts, not to know answers, to know in your marrow what living truth is, what's real, what's really real. That's what drives inquiry. And you can tune into this aspect of yourself, this deep yearning for truth, for what's never been separate, for the solution to the problem of birth and death. You can tune into that. You can give it permission to come forward in your experience. And as you do, the question of inquiry or the query will start to form naturally. What is suffering? Who am I? What is mu? What is it? What could it possibly be? What was my face before my parents were born? When I ask that question, something shifts, something opens that I can't explain. What is that? So this is how the question gets formulated. Sometimes it's already there. And sometimes when we tune into our deep yearning for truth, it starts to formulate. Now, what we do after we ask the question is equally important, and that is largely what we don't do. We don't look for a logical, conceptual, or cognitive answer. We're not looking for a thought answer. We're looking for an experiential answer, which means it's an answer we can't explain to anyone else or to ourselves. It's a lived experience. It's a lived truth. That's the point of inquiry. Inquiry points you, if done properly, directly into the mystery, into a very, very mysterious place where even the normal boundaries of self and other cease to be, where the usual divisions of reality into past, present, and future are not found. This is where inquiry points you. And when you find yourself here, in the mystery, where here and there no longer make sense, then stop. Let the mystery unfold. You've done your work. You've done your part. You can't do anymore. You can't surrender anymore. You can only be surrendered. So allow the surrender to take place. So this is where natural meditation and inquiry meet. And the deeper realization is driven, the more deconstructed the artificial self becomes, the more clearly you see what's left when the illusion of self, distance, space, time falls. The more obvious it is that a natural meditative presence is all that's there. And it's not separate from a deep mystery, a question that never needs an answer, a complete fascination with aliveness, with reality itself. What is this? Where is this? When is this? There's a great piece of liturgy called the Xin Ming, or Affirming Faith in Mind. And the last few lines say, "For here there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, no today."